this afternoon. So 2021.4 release, which has come across recently for all the UiPath products, the entire suite, from Studio till Orchestrator till from to Insights, etc. So we'll be covering a few topics today. Obviously, it's time does not permit us to cover everything, but I believe most of you might be familiar with it. Some of you might be on the old releases as well, that is 2019 and 2020. However, there are some new features, etc., which we'd like to cover and which might encourage you to upgrade to the new version. Obviously, keeping in mind that code stability, etc., and we can discuss those in the Q&A questions. So let's go forward with it. So new features, you can see where UiPath has come up, in all their verticals with respect to in discovery, build, manage, run. So this is a slide which I got from UiPath's website, and you can see the improvements or new features they have brought up in each and every vertical. Discovery, definitely including task mining, process mining, automation hub, where that's the initial phase of an RPA. Build, Studio, StudioX Pro, document understanding. A lot of new algorithms, etc., have come up in document understanding. Studio's new features, new capabilities, bugs, improvements, new activities in StudioX, and also new activities in Studio Pro. To manage Orchestrator, some of the new functionalities with respect to modern folders, and how we can integrate queues, etc., how we can migrate from classic folders to modern folders, etc. And then robot as a service, some IT automation, some native integrations in the background, which are available on the market cloud as well. And then assistants, apps, action center, chatbot. So apps is a low-code platform which UiPath recently introduced. I have one slide. However, there are a lot of webinars available, and there's an entire training also available which can help you to get through apps. But that is also a very interesting platform which UiPath came up with. So Action Center, some improvements in Action Center, and chatbot, new UX, new user experience, etc. Druid is the chatbot which UiPath integrates with. So that also has some new features come up. Any questions so far? Cool. So let's jump on to how to install the new version. So new version could be installed using the MSI or the EXE. So MSI, if you go on to UiPath Cloud, which I can show you right now. So if you go to your home, so UiPath Cloud, and you go to home, you will see download Studio. So this will download the MSI, which will have the entire suite. Also, there is an EXE version available, which you can download from the website. I can share with this on the link afterwards. So you can see that there are some UI changes to this as well, how this now appears rather than how it was before, and slightly better user experience, etc. You can see all the add-ins, etc., which you can configure for. You can download the entire suite, that is Studio Assistants, Unattended Robot, at once. Keep in mind that this does not download Orchestrator apps and all, because that has to be downloaded using another version, and there are other requirements for it. Yeah, so to make this installation easier, yes, so it is recommended to use the MSI version rather than the EXE version. However, a lot of folks might not be having cloud, they might be having on-prem version, so they can definitely go through the EXE. So once you downloaded that, you will see a few new icons, etc. Like for the UI robot, has the robot tray has been removed, and it's now UiPath Assistant. We'll see that it has a cooler UI, and there are a few tabs. You can actually name your robot also. So sorry. So you can have your robot icon. You can name your robot as well. So there are a few. So the icon has changed. The meaning of these, the green, red, etc., is something which has changed, which I will cover. And the studio also, I think this is something which you guys might be familiar with, the new studio icon. Yeah, any questions on the installation side?
Yes, hi. I have a quick question. So the EXE version is available for the community version as well, the EXE, or is it
Yes,
only for the enterprise?
the EXE version is available for the community as well. I just need to check that, but definitely you can install. It asks you for the license, and in the license you can go for a community license.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
No worries. Any other questions? Should I just show you because I have it installed, so I'll just run it. Obviously, I have everything installed, so it will just give me the option to change. So you can see this, it's asking to, so what in your production machines, you can just install the UiPath Assistant, and in your devs and test machine, you can install StudioX Assistant. And service mode, user mode, whatever mode you're using, preferably we use user mode, but service mode, if required, then some settings have to be changed accordingly. You can see some add-ons over here, which UiPath automatically offers. So it would be good for SAP solution. I believe there should be SAP installed, and then it will be giving you this as well. You must have a SAP.NET connector. And once you have that installed, it will give you this checkbox as well. Install local activities, you can install it or let it be. And if you let it be, then the activities will be dependent to be on the cloud, Orchestrator. Preferably go for this option only in the production versions because it uses, it uses storage. However, you can just check that box if storage is not a problem for you. Yeah, as soon instead of the option of change, you will get install, and then you will see all the products installed, and then if you will have these bits installed. So you have a studio. So once you open studio, then it will give you an option to select community edition, connect to Orchestrator or standalone. Community, you can make use your community account. Standalone, you will have to apply the license using the license key, and for Orchestrator, you need to connect to the Orchestrator. When you log in, obviously there is some license and profile, and in between that you can switch over from Studio to StudioX to Studio Pro. Keeping in mind each and every bit is slightly different to each other. The StudioX bit usually for citizen developers, Studios for RPA developers, and Studio Pro is used for RPA developers and for testing functions, so testing team as well. Any questions? Cool. So coming on to Studio, which I believe is most of us will be using, quite just, some new features which have come through, which will definitely help you, break down your code easily, have less dependency on peer reviews, etc., and make a good UI experience as well. So you can see the top one, which I really loved, was removed unused arguments, workflows, dependency imports. You guys might be aware of there was remove unused variables before. However, there are a lot of now new more components added. So this is really helpful, to remove any kind of garbage which is there in your XAML before, getting it peer reviewed or publishing it to live. But keeping in mind, that's the one trick which I have observed is if you're using argument within your selector, then don't use this option because it will remove the argument. I'll just show you this option in Studio. So you can see this option over here under the design taskbar to remove unused workflows, variables, arguments, dependencies, imports. And what I was telling you around the selector was. So over here, you might use an argument. So create argument. So I'll just say str input. Sorry for. So so I'll have to just pass that. So when you remove, because it will not detect. It will not detect the argument being in a part as a part of selector or object repository. So if you click remove unused arguments, it will go away. So that's what you just need to keep in mind if you're using that in selectors. Then be aware that you don't use remove unused arguments, and this would be something which you should use in while creating reusable components or processes. So that's where you should avoid using, but however, go for it and just keep in mind while testing, you observe that change. But workflows, variables, a lot of times, people add random workflows within a workflow or sequence within a sequence, and those all could be removed from here. Screenshots, etc. Sometimes it is useful to have those screenshots, but sometimes it stores in the background with respect to data storage as well, which again, you can remove screenshots if not necessary. Any questions on that?
Hello. Are you using the new modern?
Yeah, actually, I'll switch and I'll come back to that. Yeah, but I'm using the new modern experience bit. So I can switch that off and I'll reload that again. But that was the new modern experience. That's where you saw object repository.
Yes, can you explain us a bit what's new with this modern experience, please?
Sure, I have that covered later for one of our slides. So maybe we can touch base then.
Okay.
If that's fine. Well, if I don't know whether that got. So I think I need to reload. I need to reopen this. But yeah, this is the modern experience, and that's why the UI is slightly different as to what you will see in your normal studio. But I'll show you what's the difference. Anybody else has any questions? Cool. So moving on to the other one, that is an answer error display. So if I pull an activity, so you can see that this activity, the properties, this activity is showing me an error. However, I don't need to now hover over it to see the error, and the error is displayed under the properties panel as well. So that's one of the UiPath new feature which they have added to make it much more user interactive. Hello. I think Christina, if we can put somebody on mute.
Yes. And I've asked everyone to unmute themselves if they have questions, so they're able to unmute. It's no problem there.
Yep. Cool. Thank you. So error is displayed by exclamation mark in a round icon, and the warning is in exclamation mark in a yellow triangle. So that's where you can easily distinguish between a warning and an error. Error being you will not be able to go ahead, and error will be usually on the activities, and the warning will be on at the parent level. So you can see this is saying one or more children have validation errors, and this is the one error. Assigning icons. So when we publish processes, so now, okay, let me delete this one. So you can assign icons to it. So, these icons could be used to look in the orchestrator or at the assistant level. So you can have your own company logos, etc. as well. So you can store one icon, and this is also very useful for packages. So you might see some UiPath packages having UI icons here. So you can have your own icons for variety of packages against, a lot of applications, components which you will create. So that would definitely help to come to a standard, but it's something fancy as well. Moving on, picture-in-picture mode, which I believe might be, it's something in the old version as well, but has definitely been improved, and something which can be used via an attended robot, or via people doing their own testing or developing on the same machine. So I'll switch to Studio and show you what is picture-in-picture. So you will see that in the debug mode, the option is available here, picture-in-picture. So what does this allow is basically run an automation without disturbing my parent interface. So this option can be selected either selecting this option, or you could go to project settings, and then select picture in PIP ready. So if you select this, then as soon as you run your job or your process, it will come up in a PIP mode. So picture-in-picture. So I'll just do that. I'll run this one, and you'll see what I mean. So you can see UiPath automatically created an instance of my machine. For security reasons, I have to log in, but you can it can be disabled as well based on your company's guidelines. So you can see my parent interface is not at all impacted. Just bear with me. And you also have options to, take control, keep it on top, etc. So the execution is happening in the background, and hopefully there should be a message icon appearing, message box appearing. So you can see it basically made the same instance of my desktop, the same applications, etc. And if I press take control, the take control option, if it is switched off, you can see that basically I'm the double click is just zooming, but however, when I press OK, nothing is happening. So if once you take control, then you can press OK, and then the automation will stop. But this is how picture-in-picture can be really useful for people executing their automation in an attended mode, as well as people testing on the same machine.
Arjun, a question on the PIP.
Yeah.
Is it specific to some operating system of Windows, or is it now possible on all version of Windows? Any operating system constraint on using PIP?
I believe there is, what I read on the release notes, but however, if I'll have to just go back and see, I can do that and send you a note at later.
Yeah, sure, that will help. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mukesh, can you please leave the question in chat too, so we can record it and answer on email?
Yep, I'll do that.
Thank you very much, Mukesh.
Yeah, but that's really interesting to know that whether it will have constraints on some of the machines using the older version, and we can definitely put that through UiPath as well to see if there's a resolution for that. Thank you. Pre-populate capture elements when started with object repository. So this is something which is used in the modern experience. So if you want to continue capturing the elements from a specific screen or application, you can now pre-populate the descriptor list and capture elements. by starting from any object repository tree. Git in mass update tool. So there is a mass dependency option available. So if you go to tools, you can select project dependencies mass update tool. This tool, what basically does is updates all your packages, all your projects stored at a location to decent packages which you want to. So you can select the dependencies. These could be either UiPath dependencies, or it could be some packages which you make by yourself. So before the Git, there was nothing with respect to Git, but now you can also update packages which are stored in Git repository directly using this project dependencies tool. Obviously, there is you can also do local versions, etc., and you can do this as well. Moving on to the next one, refresh remote Git branches. So Git fetch functionality that enables you to refresh list of Git remote branches and remove references that are no longer exist on the remote. So if you're connected to a Git repo, you can do that easily. Sorry. I'm not connected yet to a Git repo, but you could easily do that from some options available here. Multiple entry points. So this is a new feature which has come up, and which, to be honest, I really like that. I'm hoping to explore this in some of my future projects. So if you remember, you have only one main entry point, and that is your main XAML. So you can see over here, it's I won't be able to zoom, but you can see that there's a green arrow pointing inside. That's mean that is the main entry point. Now, this in our RE framework is the same main XAML as well, where it's actually the automation starts, and it calls various states. Now, however, you can have multiple entry points by selecting the sequence, right-clicking on that, and let me just right-click, and you will see the option enable entry point. When you do that, it will automatically give you an option in the orchestrator. Let me log into the orchestrator. Sorry. So it will okay. Typical problems of logging in, yeah. No pressure. Okay, I will stop share and log in. Okay, caps is on. That's fine. Sorry for that. So once you do that, then if I go in my orchestrator, if I try to run a job, see that it will give me two options. That is whether I need to trigger the main, or I need to trigger the sequence. So let me go on to automations, processes. Let me add a process. So event. So you can see over here there are two entry points, main and sequence. You can select both and also give it a display name. So you can have one process which executes your sequence XAML, and the other process executes your main XAML. And that way you can have multiple XAMLs as an entry point. But do keep it in mind that based on that, you follow standards and best practices to create those. Any questions on this topic? Again, I can do multiple entry points, and you will see each and every entry point will have that the green icon against it. But obviously there will be this as the the one which is bold out will be the main one. And if I go into project settings, then that should be the one which is the main XAML. So this will be the title as the main XAML. If you want to change that, the setting is that you have to set as main. Yeah, but entry points can be enabled, and then that can be controlled from the orchestrator. Any questions so far? Okay, so there are some new improvements in the object repository, which can be dealt in detail. So, some of the new add elements, types, etc. Have been added, and it's now easier to capture elements and to record missing elements and modify existing elements using the object repository, which is a feature which is in modern experience. So these are and some few bits which go back to Studio. Definitely, you will see some UI changes. Like if activity is changed and it's it's slightly different. So you see, like it's showing me an option of show else, and then before it used to look like if then else. However, you can hide the else. So that is useful. Sometimes we have the if condition only and an else condition. We just want to automation to carry on. So you can obviously have this, and it reduces the sequence or the workflow size also from what I have observed. So that is something useful. And there are a couple of other bits which are added. So I'll just like click activity now has a cursor motion type. Cursor motion type, which you can say instant or smooth. So that basically replicates, whether the motion type has to be instant and then click on the button, or the motion type has to, follow on how a human being will do. It might change on behavior from application to application, but something which can definitely be now taken into consideration. And a couple of few tweaks like these are in all the activities, which could be dealt in detail whilst you are dealing with each and every activity. Definitely a lot of SAP UI automations are also available for people interacting with SAP applications can now use these activities. They were before as well plugged in, however, have some new improvements or new bug fixes, etc. Any questions so far? Cool. Moving on to modern experience. So modern experience is just a way of, where UiPath has come up with slightly new user interface, which gives much more information and tries to bridge in the gaps between StudioX and Studio. So it can be enabled at the project level, and once enabled, then it's like it is advised that all your projects are modern experience. Like whoever is then utilizing that project should enable that option as well. As soon as you enable it, it changes in the XAML settings as well, so that whoever opens the project will have that button enabled. Object repository infos is another checkbox which you can do. When the object repository infos toggle to yes, activates the UIAutomation path need to reference elements from the object repository rather than the normal UIAutomation behavior. So I'll just switch onto Studio. So you can see those options under design. So you need to just switch, use modern for new projects and use object repository. Keep in mind, if you want to use object repository, this option has to be checked to yes. So I'll let the dependencies be added in the background, and these are like the UIAutomation new dependencies, etc., which will be useful for object repository. As soon as object repository is added, you have the option to now add an object tree and all your, all various elements inside. Like before, we used to create, packages, reusable packages, and we used to have click activities, etc. Now you can make use of object repositories and then, have all your click actions for that particular application. Or you can have various screens, various text boxes, buttons, etc. And then when you publish those, they will be ready to use from your packages as well. So you can make your entire project tree over here, and that way you can use it. There are a lot of videos on the UiPath website as well as YouTube, to how to use it efficiently. It's something which is advisable to use going ahead, but definitely requires, migrating and maybe creating the reusable libraries packages from scratch if you want to really reuse this. So if somebody's starting with their journey, definitely I would recommend to use Object Repository. You can see a slight change on the UI as well on the activity. It's much more interactive rather than, setting those bits on the right-hand side. You can now set easily on this activity and make best use of it. So let me just pull up some other activities as well. And each and every activity you'll see add to object repository or drag an element from object repository. So as soon as I drag this element from the object repository, that is the element which will be interacted with. And type into, again, you can see, some of the features which were controlled from the properties panel can now be easily controlled using this activity. It changes the way you behave with all the UI automation activities, to be honest with you, and something which again is very useful. But if you're very start of the journey, yes, go for it. But if you are in between your journey of RPA, then there's a point where you need to decide on how things need to be migrated. So there is also, like, if you use this object repository, if I just put this. You'll see that it automatically puts under, use application browser. So it automatically, I just drag the screen, which I had the parent screen, and it automatically put that on and use application / browser, rather than me dragging a use application browser and then selecting it from object repository. So some shortcuts of these are available now for you to interact with these UI object repository efficiently. Does it, any questions? All sounds reasonable. I think we had in between a question on modern experience. Sorry, I didn't get your name, but does that help for you to, go back and look into this, or do you want me to cover some other bits? Okay, I'll move ahead. But definitely something which, again, can take, one entire session. So what all new features we have is definitely reusability, as I talked about, how you can publish it as a package, reuse the UI libraries amongst all your projects. And then there are some slight changes on the object repository structure as well. Like applications can be of two types, mobile, desktops, depending on what technology, then versioning, and then how basically it all appears at the screen level as well. So the tree structure as well is very important to follow on. There are some best guidelines standards given by UiPath to follow on the screen structure, naming convention, etc. So go through it and accordingly you can manage. Using this also takes out a lot of complexity with respect to anchors and all. It's that smart that it will place the anchors by itself, so you just need to tweak the selectors based on that, but you don't need to where we used to indicate an anchor for some of text boxes or buttons. This descriptor will automatically do that for you. Yeah, so that's mostly not on Studio. That is most of us is familiar with. And just to break up and have some fun, we've got a quiz round in between. So I request all of you to log into menti.com and with the code 61747247, and then have our first round, the first quiz. Yeah, this.
Arjun, I think we need to see the screen with Menti.
Yeah, I'm just sharing my screen.
Yeah. And yeah, if you can share the code again too.
Yeah, I'll drop the code on the link and the link as well.
Okay. Yeah, and can you share the screen with the Menti now?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So the code is 61747247. Guys, go on menti.com. You have like 40 seconds to join. So we'll be waiting for more people to join on Menti. And then we'll start the quiz. Okay, I see more animals and icons. We have a caterpillar and a fish. That's a big fish. The big fish and a huge penguin. Okay, we'll wait like 5 more seconds. I see the number is stabilized, so no more people are joining now. Okay, guys, everyone joined? Sure, no one else wants to give a try in the quiz?
Oh yeah, we have a robot icon which just popped up.
Yeah. This is the robot we use when we don't use our bot. Okay, so I think we can start the quiz now.
Sure. So you have 20 seconds on the quiz. The question will appear first. And whoever answers fast will get the most leadership points. So which no-code platform did UiPath recently introduce? Options are UiPath Jarvis, UiPath Forms, UiPath Apps, and UiPath Test Suite.
This is easy. Come on, guys. 3 more seconds. Okay. So let's see who is leading the intermediary score.
So most of you answered UiPath Apps, which is right. I see UiPath Jarvis. I'm just keen to know when UiPath will come out with that. Yeah. Maybe in a Marvel movie. Maybe in a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
So, cool.
Okay, let's see the score. So who is leading the score now?
Akash is leading.
Okay, so Akash is our leader for now. We'll see in the end quiz whether he still maintains his pole position. Congrats for now, Akash. We'll see you in 20 minutes. Usually this quiz is turned around at the end, but we'll see whether this time it applies or not.
Yeah. So moving on to the next topic, which is the robot and the UiPath Assistant. So that is something we all are very familiar with, that is installed in each and every machine and used for attended as well as executing attended and unattended automations. So usually the features which we are going to show is useful for attended automation, but can be used for unattended automations as well. So you can see now, like there are different, two different tabs. One is the home tab and one is the reminder tab. And then there is also another dashboard where you can add your favorites processes. So I do not have a lot of processes, but there are a lot of organizations will have a lot of processes. So you can simply drop and pin your processes here, as well as you can pin it to desktop as well. So you can send to desktop, and then a shortcut will be created. Over here also you can see that there's an option run in PIP, which will run the execution in a picture-in-picture mode or run in your session. So these are your widgets, and basically the icon is taken up from your the initials of your processes. It can be it is taken up from the orchestrator or the local package folder where you place your packages. If you use the icons, then it will automatically have icons here as well. So these widgets are useful, just for interactive purpose and, to see your processes in a much more clearer way, sorry. Then you can see the default widget enables you to view all available automation processes, which I said that could be from the orchestrator or could be from your local packages folder. Download processes that have a new version available, add or remove processes from the launchpad. So you can easily, remove these from the launchpad, unpin from the launchpad, and you can pin it by simply dragging and dropping. You can also name a group. So you can have your own groups of, processes, and over here you can give the business department's name as well, if that is, required for a familiar view. In the reminder tab, you can add any reminder. So you can select the process which you want to remind yourself to execute to, keeping in mind this will not execute the process, but will just prompt a reminder to you to say that, do you want to execute the process? And it's based on your action that you select yes or no that it will execute the process. So this will not help you in an unattended automation. For an unattended, you still have to use orchestrator capabilities, but this can definitely use for, attended mode if you want to set a reminder to yourself to trigger an automation at a particular time of the day. Any questions so far?
Arjun, I have one question related to the licensing in here. I don't know if there was any upgrade on this, because if you are, I can see that you have green, so you are consuming a license. But actually, if you are not using, you are not running a process, I think you should or use or consume the license. Do you know anything about any changes in here? Or because, for example, sending it to desktop, then it's all the time using a license or not?
No, it's not all the time using a license, to be honest, and that's what I've covered in this slide. So the connection needs to be established. So if the service is enabled and it is connected to the orchestrator, then you will see the green icon. The service is not connected, then you will see a gray icon. If there is any error with respect to licensing terms, etc., red error, and where there are new or unread notifications due to the reminders, etc., coming, then you will see a yellow tab, a yellow icon. So where I can see green, that means the connection is established. If you send to desktop, you can simply run it from the desktop, but you still need your connection to be valid. So it just puts an icon like this, but I still need connection to be valid in order to run this automation. Does that answer your query?
I mean, it just says that it always consumes the license.
Yeah, it will always consume, to run that.
The connection is established. Yeah, I mean, I think that's not good, I think, because if we are not running the process, we shouldn't consume the license. Okay, we have the connection, but actually shouldn't.
Yeah, it should. Correct, yeah. If you want, you can definitely disable as well. So this is license right now. So there are some obviously changes. So you need to go in preferences. Then you can disconnect your license if you feel like the license needs to be consumed at a particular instance. So you can disconnect as well. Yeah, you can also have shortcuts. You can also have shortcuts to run your automations. We covered that. So that's what I've covered here. So you can also have now shortcuts to start your processes, like set up for more efficient use, keyboard shortcuts. Like if I want to do Control R, I want to run a process, you can do that as well. Simply click on the process name and the details that trace and add your preferred shortcut and save. So you can do that as well. Some bits like if there are mandatory input arguments which need to be passed, you will see that with an asterisk. Once you run the process, you will, if it has mandatory input arguments, you will see that as asterisk. That is for a good user interface. Also, there is end of support for robot tray. So the traditional robot tray which we had, where it used to be a UI blue icon and It used to be a simple pop-up that is getting that has got discarded from 2021.4 with respect to, I think, all the bugs and improvements which UiPath did in 21.4. There's no need for that. So that is the end of support for robot tray if you are moving to 21.4. Any questions?
We have one more question from Akash. He said, can you set a reminder to show how it will display in notifications?
Yeah, sure. So set a reminder right now. So daily. Let me set this to 53. So you can see, Akash, the reminder will come at some point right now. And you can see all the reminders in this. So you can see I didn't do anything, it automatically came. You can snooze it also to remind you in 10 minutes, or if you run it, then it will run right now. But it is asking for a prompt for, for me to take any further actions. Does that help, Akash?
Yes, Arjun. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Perfect. No worries. Thank you. So I'll just dismiss this for time being. And you can see because it was just the one reminder, then it automatically, got deleted. So moving on to some of, the visual changes which we have, as we just discussed with respect to the tray that, it's green, what does green, gray, red icon, orange icon means. And then there's a taskbar as well. So, what all appears here. So if it's a taskbar simple assistant, if it's green without any, window icon here, then that means it's running the process outside PIP. This means running the process in PIP, running process from assistants, running process in PIP from assistant. So these are some of, the logos which will help you to understand what's the meaning of each and every bit. Yeah. StudioX. So StudioX is very useful for citizen development, and there are loads of new activities which have been added to make the user experience much more interactive, and to not depend on people doing automation at the studio level. So very useful for citizen development or business developers. So they can use Excel automation was already there, but there's some new activities which have been added based on what all automations happen in the business area. Some activities around PowerPoint automation, so you can see paste item into slide, format slide content, word automation, and then some of the common activities which we use in studio mode, but now have been added in the StudioX mode as well. That is generate data table from text. That it just takes structured text and generates a data table, modify date. For each row in a data table, it executes actions for each row, filter data table, read row item, update row item. So you can see all these activities in the StudioX version. So I'll just switch the license quickly. So this is how you switch the license. So all the activities will be appearing on the left-hand side pane. Some of you might be familiar with StudioX, but it's usually for citizen development or business developers. And some new activities have been added. The list comprised of few activities before, but I think going forward, as with respect to people going back in the community and asking for some more help. So the UiPath is trying to integrate both Studio and StudioX and provide a better user experience, for business developers. So those are some new bits which have been added, and on StudioX as well. And some of mail activities like set Outlook mail categories, mark Outlook mail as read or unread. This is very easy for us at the studio level in the properties pane. However, has now been added for just to drag and drop. So if I just quickly show you those bits, so you can see that it's as simple as an activity. Mark email as read. However, in Studio, we have to select from the properties panel. So some improvements in send Outlook mail message, get Outlook mail message. It's now possible to filter, date, newest date, oldest date first from just, use UI experience rather than using any SQL queries, etc. Filter by message IDs and, filtered by body, body subject, etc. Save attachment, the user can specify whether to overwrite an existing file having the same name on that as the attached file. So that was not an option there, but this is just a checkbox which has been added. An HTML editor, which again gives business users to make the HTML format of the email and then use that in your send Outlook mail message. Any question on the StudioX topics?
We have a question by Sumit, but not on StudioX. It was before, after you described the reminders. He's asking whether we can set similar reminders in Orchestrator notifications.
No, I believe that feature I've not observed because Orchestrator we use for unattended automation, to be honest. So something which I've not observed, but I can go back, explore it, and let you know.
Okay, I will also note it down the question and we'll try to answer it by email. Sumit, I will give my email address in chat so you can write to me with the question and we'll come back on it.
Yeah, sure.
UiPath Apps, so that is a low-code platform tool, and most of you answered the question also. So this is a new product which UiPath has offered, which can help us integrate with business users. So this is just to it's higher version of Forms, I would say, where you can where novice developers can make their own apps and then publish it within a cloud environment within an organization, and then it can help you to interact with the business users. So I'll just quickly show you where the option is on the Orchestrator. So it's on app. So you have an option on the left hand side, apps. And again, this is like another topic which can be dealt in detail, and there is a lot of there's a lot of videos on the forum as well as on YouTube as well to how to build a new app, etc. But I'll just show you one app which I built, and so it's a rough one. So you can make as complex as the app is, but it definitely interacts with your applications, and also that's just a simple app which I made. You can see that's a header, that's that's the checkbox, and if I enter something over here, I press submit. The submit action will call a process which will be executing in the background in an attended or unattended mode, and then that would give me the result. And then you can again, based on the result, you can go on to you can configure a different screen as well. So you can do all those bits with with this. So let me open this in edit. And there's a lot of governance activities, etc., which you can put in place, that who can see this app. So you can place it within a business user or within the RPS COE, etc. And you can have edit options within the RPS COE and just business users just to only view. So you can see, like, this is the left hand side pane, and there are some bits around how the layout is, and then there are different containers, inputs and outputs. Like submit button will it's calling a process, so this all will detail. So you can link events. So, yeah. you can add a new control. Okay. And then you can also, like how I had customer number, you can see that it's linked to an argument within the process, so that the process has an argument str customer number, which I have linked here. So that is how you can interact with your process and, you know, link your arguments. And some arguments can be output arguments as well, like this check this radio button was an output argument, which is bool valid customer or not, which is coming from the process. So that's how, you know, you can maintain it easily going forward. And you can have various screens. So this could be screen 1, then based on some actions, screen 2 pops up, based on some actions, screen 3 pops up. So you can make the entire customer journey that interactive for the advisor as well. And, you know, with a simple use of apps. Once you publish it, it will be published within the orchestrator, and then you can obviously export the app to import it into a different orchestrator version. You can clone, you can delete, etc. With respect to governance, there are owner permissions, etc., which you can tweak. So who should own the app? You know, who edits the app, who views the apps, etc. So you can do all those bits in here as well. So this is a very cool product which UiPath came up with, and they have loads of features in there. And I believe they'll be, you know, soon coming out with some new additions to this platform as well, and how we can interact with. So there is no activity which is needed to directly interact. It's all, you know, based on your input output arguments, how you execute. Basically, a process needs to execute on an action, whether it's submit button, whether it's adding a text box, etc. And then that executes the process in the background and automatically gets you the output. So no any further activity needed or any further package you need to install at studio level. Yeah, I think I saw a hand being raised in between.
We also have a question from Akash regarding the apps. Is UiPath Apps made available in Orchestrator on-prem or only in cloud so far?
It's on-prem as well. You need to install a different, so there are some installations which you need to do, but you can do it on-prem as well. So keeping in mind that URL, etc., is created within your network. So you have to do all those settings or all those configurations locally. If it's cloud, then yeah, it can be scaled up. But however, you need to just see whether you're using cloud or on-prem.
He also has like one follow-up question. It's like, is UiPath Apps, does it have a mobile app like Orchestrator?
Not that I have seen, but something which UiPath will definitely be working upon. I'll get in touch with I can put the note through the technical team and see that if that's something upcoming. But so far, I have not seen that option.
There is another question we have coming in from Bill Black. Can we share the app with other users?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Can we share the app with other users?
Yeah, you can share the app with other users. So you can have, as soon as you define users in your admin section, you can define again, you can group it by active directories, etc. And then you can provide those access to the various business users. So for example, finance will have a different app, operations will have a different app, HR will have a different app. You can all group that by adding them in the orchestrator and then giving them the required permissions. Cool, hope I answered your query.
Yeah, that's all we have in the questions right now. Guys, if there are any more questions or questions you didn't find the answer during this session, please feel free to mail me, and we will contact all the relevant contacts in UiPath and send back the answer, the correct answer. So please do that.
Yeah, and please feel free to get in touch with me. Also, I'll drop a note of my personal email address and LinkedIn, and I'm happy to answer some of the queries or liaise with the UiPath team as well.
Thank you, Arjun.
Perfect. So moving on to, we've covered the topics for each and every product. Now moving on to the orchestrator. So that is used to, for unattended automation, scaling up, and, governance point of view. So UiPath Orchestrator is mostly installed in at each and every team where, they are maintaining running of the robots, maintaining packages, maintaining deployments, etc. So a few, some of, basically the migration from classic folder to modern folders has seen some challenges in the past, and that's where UiPath have introduced some of, new functionalities, which we can now, very easily migrate from classic to modern folders. So we discussed around multi-entry points before. I believe that is familiar to everybody. So the other bit is sharing resources between folders. So before, modern folders was, it had a machine template, but now no, you can define a normal machine as well. And then you can share the resources between folders, resources like whether it could be machines or it could be assets or queues or storage buckets. So I'll show a quick example. So I have a default folder and I have a classic, I have a classic folder and I have a modern folder. The modern folder is, something which UiPath introduced last year to scale up everybody's journey, and where they were seeing clients asking for more demands around folders based on business users, so that they business users can be given access to those folders. Automations could be executed in that particular folder. So that's where high demand was seen in where from different clients asking to modern folders. Obviously, migration from classic folder to modern folder has seen challenges, and that's where it's now UiPath has come up with some new features. So one example which I would like to show you is queue. So like queue linking. So I have a queue in the default folder. So that's the test queue which I have. So now if I need to migrate this queue to modern folder, it's very difficult because I cannot easily migrate and I cannot export the items and upload it on the modern folder and just name it as it cannot say that these many tasks were getting completed, etc. Everything will be a new state. So that's where you can now link your queues. So what I would do is I would go in my modern folder, add queue, and say link from other folders, and then it would give me the option as to which queue I want to link with, and then I press continue, and then it's just validating the folder. The folder is default. Yes, I would say link, and then it would be linked. As soon as the queue is linked, you will see this icon of linkage, which gives you an idea that the queue is linked. You can easily remove this and nothing will happen in the default queue. It will stay as it is, or you can remove the default queue as well, and it will not touch the the modern folder queue. But if there are SLAs, etc., configured on the queue, then it gets a bit complicated, and that's where it's not advisable to delete or unlink queues frequently. But similarly, you can link your storage buckets, you can link assets as well, rather than migrating them. If you want to migrate, then there are on UiPath's marketplace, there's a migration tool also available, but definitely from my experience, it does not migrate the entire queue. It migrates assets and all, but not queues. So that is something which you can now use in 21.4 version. So starting jobs or triggers in a modern folder will now let you know which current machine is free. So if once you define a machine template and all the machines within, then the new feature allows you to see which machines are free, and then automatically the job will pick up those free machines. Standard machines in modern folders. So there's now a possibility to create and associate standard machines to modern folders, so that upon migrating, you don't need to change the machine key. As I said before, we used to define a machine template, and then we had to change the machine key for all the machines which were there in production. But going forward, you can have the same standard machines, and you just don't need to change anything. You just can associate to the modern folder. Keeping in mind, classic folder will take priority over modern folder. So any robot running on classic and modern folder, classic folder will take the priority. So you need to disable that running on the classic folder if you want to give priority to modern folder. Yeah, to accommodate this change, machine template window has now been renamed to machines and has been repurposed to show both standard and machine templates. There are also some role management changes which have been brought in. So there's tenant role, there's folder role, as well as there is mixed role. So there's mixed role, which is a combination of both tenant and folder permissions. So that also could be configured in the admin section. Assigning roles. So if classic folder is cleared under tenant settings general, you can assign tenant and mixed roles from the users page or from the roles page, and you can assign folders roles and mixed roles from the folders page. And if activate classic folder is selected under tenant settings general, you can assign any of the three types from the user or from roles page, and you can assign folder roles and mixed roles from the folders page. So that is slight difference in how you assign the roles. Processes. To upgrade a process, you can now get in the contextual menu. So you click on these the three dotted icon, and you can get the upgrade to latest version. So that's a new feature which has been added. And enhance robots view. So what do you mean by enhanced robots view is, so where if we go to tenant now, we can see, what's the configured robots, unattended session, user sessions, classic robots, etc., all in a different panes. Whereas that was not the case before. Yeah. Any questions on the orchestrator bit? There's some few bits on the admin as well, like governance, etc. You can set up your governance policy, upload it on the orchestrator, and those bits also. So, and some minor changes on the user group level, which you can also, automation ops will have that governance option. So policies, deployments, etc. So you can define all those. You can upload a policy as well. So all those bits can be done. So there are minor tweaks at admin level as well, which I'm happy to share on a separate. I'll share the entire release notes on the chat screen, and you can go through each and every detailed product. What are the changes and what are the new features UiPath has brought into. Any question on the orchestrator side? Okay. We're open. So I think we'll have the second quiz round, and we'll open the floor for Q&A, and we can answer any questions across the entire topics which we discussed. Yeah. So well, if you all have the same screen open, then I will go and start and initiate the second question of the quiz. So I'll give you guys time to join. You can join in, and then I'll start the other quiz.
So go again on menti.com. Same code 61747247 on menti.com. And I think you can start to let them join, Arjun.
Yeah. Okay. Do I have to close this session? Sorry, do I have to open it again?
I think you can open it again. Yeah, okay. I'm not sure. go to the link, because this is the score from the first question. So we have to go back to the previous, the one where you have both questions.
Okay.
Okay, and now move onwards to the second question.
Yeah.
This is the first score, move onwards.
Okay, question 2 of 2. So I'll wait for everybody to join and then.
Yeah, let's wait a bit. We have 22. Let's see how many more people are joining. So guys, it's the same menti.com, code 61747247. Okay, I think 23 is our number. We can start the question.
Okay.
Remember to answer fast, guys, to get more points.
Yeah, question is object repositories used to capture objects, store jars of gem, capture processes, or capture elements. Object repositories used to capture objects, store jars of gem, capture processes, or capture elements. Okay.
Yeah, the name is confusing for that.
Yeah, the name is confusing. Yeah.
So there's a trick there.
A tricky one.
Let's see how the score looks after the second question now.
Oh,
Okay,
that has
so
changed.
it was turned around and we have a winner. So congratulations, Barbosa. Yeah.
Congratulations, Barbosa.
Just write to me to get your voucher and prize. So drop me an email and tell me you're the winner for today's session, and I will come back with your prize.
And I'll open the floor for any Q&A.
Yes. So I propose that we give like 10 minutes to Q&A, because we're already over an hour. If anyone has any questions, guys.
Hi, Arjun. This is Mukesh. Can I ask one question?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So when we say we have the ability, we have the option to link the assets and the queues, right? So does it creates a copy, or does it simply copy and creates two separate?
It just links it in the background. So your modern folder will be linked to that. It does not create a copy. If you change one, the other will be also be changed. So it's a linkage.
And if I delete one, the other will be automatically deleted, right?
Yes. So that is a dependency which you have to avoid deleting if you don't know where it is linked.
Okay, and does it copies the transaction status also from the queue?
Yes, it copies the transaction status in the queue. Yeah, so that is where it is actually useful, so that if you want to give business, if you want to separate your folders to business users, and if there is any queue which is used amongst the business areas, so it will tell them the status of each and every transaction item. So each and every business area can view that same queue item and the status. However, keeping separate the modern folders and the access as well.
Then that generates one more question. So we have option of linking the assets also, right? So that means if I change one asset, that would change the asset also, right?
Yes, that would change that.
If I have two businesses and they were using separate credentials, so if I change credential for one, that will impact the other one also, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So how is that linking?
So that's just a linking. Basically, if as you said, the example which you said, credential, obviously, every business area has its own unique credential. So that is where we will not. That is where it is not recommended to use. But if there are a lot of business areas, using the same credential, then you can obviously have one asset and just link it, rather than having multiple assets in, each and every, when if the change needs to be made to the credential, then each and every asset needs to be, changed.
Correct.
But the example which you said, if it's unique credential, then yeah, do separate it. Don't link it.
Yep. Makes sense. Yeah. Thanks,
Thank
Arjun.
you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, I see. Okay, people are starting to drop out. I see we don't have any other questions. So I will share my screen now and tell you, Arjun, if you can close share.
I'll stop share.
I will just tell you a few words on community. Wait, okay. Okay. So as you know, this was the first meeting of the London chapter. This is our community platform. I bet all of you are already familiar with it, with the events section, meetups coming up. For the London chapter, you can go here, find the chapter, select, go find London, United Kingdom, and please do join the London chapter. This way you will remain in the chapter and you will be notified each time we have a new meetup in the London chapter. The advantage here is that, of course, the meetups will be in English language, so we have a bit of global attendance while we will have virtual meetups still. You can also search any other chapter from our global chapters around the world, explore the regions and search your nearby chapters too. And please also share the London chapters to your network if you have any people you think they might be interested in these meetups, or if they are from the local network in the area. Also, we have the Academy, the resources. You have here forum, you have job board, you have object repository on forum, you have marketplace. So please use our platform. We are very proud that the platform is now end-to-end from Academy to job board on forum. Please also join forum if you're not familiar with it. Forum is one of our greatest assets in community. Here you can get all the technical help you need. Multiple threads and people willing to help you every time. And one last thing I want to tell you about, if you have within your company or within your network any interest in future citizen developers, this week we have launched the RPA Summer School in Community, which is a series of courses. It's total time 6 hours learning time for absolute RPA beginners. This takes them through an introduction in RPA and also through the first basic StudioX automations. It's a completely flexible summer program in 2 identical modules, so they can learn at any time during the rest of the summer. We're very proud of it. And we have very high attendance on it, and we welcome more anytime, of course. So this is about our platform. I'm Christina. Arjun is the chapter leader for our London chapter. We're very glad and thankful that we had you with us today. Just email us if you have any other questions in the future or from this session. And we really hope you enjoyed it. Oh, we have some questions regarding the summer school. Yes, the summer school is built currently, because it's totally flexible. It is built around 2 time zones. One of the time zones is BST, so it's more like a Europe time zone. The other time zone is EDT, so it's like New York time. This was the only way we could do it, and it's also has to do with its flexibility. You can join the sessions that you are available to join live if they match your time. The other sessions, you can also watch the recording. It's a self-paced mode, so you will have all the materials and all the recordings available for the summer school. No problem there, and we will be there to support you. Also, in the second module, which is identical and it's starting at the end of August, we will try, if we can, to reverse the time zones so that the sessions you missed in live session in the first module, you will have the availability to go through them in the second module. I cannot promise on that yet, because that also depends on the availability of our trainers. but all the materials will be there recorded, and the materials are really targeting absolute beginners. So we'll make sure that the recordings are easy to follow too. Yeah. Okay, so I don't think there are any other questions on the summer school. Just remember, if you can, promote London chapter, promote this new program we have in community, and thank you very much for joining. We're very glad to have you here every time. Bye-bye.
Bye all. Thank you for joining. Thank you.
Hi, can you share a link for the RPA summer school in the chat?
Yeah, right now. Just wait a bit. I will share the link. It's in Academy, first bullet from community, from Academy on our community platform. You should all check out the community platform. It's very easy to use and filled with very interesting material. That you have it in the chat now, the link. And I think, Arjun, I think you also mentioned that you're going to send the link for the release notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could put that as well in chat now.
Yeah, I put that as well.
Okay, so we have the form link for the release notes for the 2021.4. I'll leave it like for 30 more seconds for you guys to pick it up. I think we had a very good meetup today. Certainly lots of people joined. Hope we'll do this again soon. You can also let us know subjects of interest or any more topics for future meetups if you have particular queries on that.
Yeah, sure. Let me or Christina know, and we'll try to do our best to, organize another session, preferably on the topic which you guys need. It could be anything. Just let us know, and we'll do our best to prepare for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, all. Take care. Stay safe. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.